Why don't we go ahead and get started? I'm going to ask Rob to unmute himself. And thank you to all the folks who have joined.
Hey, look at that. I figured that out too. I'm getting pretty good at this computer stuff here, this Zoom thing. It's a lot easier when I don't have a picture. So welcome everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Dakota YMCA's first and hopefully last Zoom annual meeting in this time we call COVID. Life's always changing, and I just never would have imagined that we'd somehow have this as our format for an annual meeting where normally we would be getting together to celebrate our successes. Tonight, we're going to hear some reflections on our very successful 2019 and talk about some of the new things and new programs and hear that from our staff. We're also going to untraditionally hear a little bit more than normal about our 2020 and a truly unique year it's been so far. Mike Reed will go over our finances. After that, you'll probably hear what we're trying to do to keep Dakota in the programs prepared and operational. And once we can get back on track and back to serving our kids, we want to be prepared to go forward. Before all that, though, I'd like to take a moment to reflect on a portion of the annual report that I helped pen and say thanks to Bill Parkman. He gave us tireless service as our board president and chief volunteer officer. He served an unprecedented 3 terms, and he only left us during that tenure for one, well, he had 2 exceptions for leaving us, both to serve in our military as a CV in the United States Navy, and then came back to join us on the board. So Bill has been selfless, both for our country as well as our why, and I can't thank him enough. And he continues to serve on our board and do the work of Dakota. So thank you, Bill. With that, I don't want to steal anyone's thunder, and Artie and his team are going to take us through 2019, I believe, and then a little bit of 2020. Artie, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Rob. Yeah, it's crazy to think that we're in August and that camp ended last week. To be reflecting on 2019, which seems like a lifetime ago for a lot of us, but 2019 was a great year from all aspects. I mean, we were sad to have Bill step down, but we're glad he's still serving us. We served close to 4,000 people in all 3 of our programs: outdoor education, heritage travel, and summer camp. We were able to scholarship close to 8% of all of our campers, which is a number that we hope to keep growing. We had 2 really great fundraising, scholarshiping projects that we undertook. Thanks to Carly, who led Project 141 and worked with all of our campers and our staff and talked to everybody about how important it is to sponsor other kids, and part of being friendly to all is helping people. And on checkout day, with the help of the board, we did a great job there of raising lots of money to help scholarship kids. And then a special thank you as well to Peter Bradshaw, who was our volunteer leader for our program called Fill the Duffel, in working with the Keen Housing Kids Collaborative. It's a mouthful to say. We were able to provide 10 kids who live in Keen housing, which means that their families make under $25,000. We were able to outfit them. We were able to provide all their clothing, all of their bedding, as well as a session at camp. And it was really pretty amazing and pretty special to see both of those projects come to fruition. We were really excited to hit the ground running for Fill the Duffel again this year, and hopefully start to see some of those kids back year after year, as many of you on the Zoom tonight have been, but unfortunately that's been put on hold for a year. And then, you know, sort of my last big thing is we were really excited to have completed our master plan, and thanks to those of you on the call who have helped with that, or who have given input, or who have sat through a presentation about our master plan. And it's really exciting to kind of take a look at how we proceed to kind of update camp as we continue, you know, well into our second century of camping. So that's kind of a general overview. I'm going to hand it off to program directors now. So Nick, why don't you, actually, let's go with Kathy first. Kathy, why don't you?
For those of you who may not know who I am, my name is Kathy Batchelder, and I've been a long time supporter of Dakota YMCA and a volunteer. And for the last 2 years, I have been the Heritage Travel Director, where we had a great year last year. This year wasn't quite as good, but that's okay because we've got plans. But the numbers that we had last year and we served 330 kids. We ran 4 American Heritage Tours and 2 New England Heritage Tours. We had 56 volunteers that worked on all of our tours. As I looked at how many volunteer hours that included tour and the lead up to tour. How we run tour is our AHT tours are 6 days, Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, Gettysburg. Our New England is a 3 or 4 day, and it includes Boston, Newport, Plymouth, and all of those have meetings prior that kids do reports that they then get to share with their peers when we're out on tour. It's a really fun experience and something that I think the kids look forward to every year. So we had 56 volunteers that served 4,992 hours with Dakota kids. One of the interesting things that I thought that I would check out is what that means to us in a monetary sense. And it runs about $129,000 that these folks volunteered to the YMCA. We did not get to do our spring tours, but we have plans for moving our fall tours for 2020 into 2021 and adding some new and exciting diversity plans for things that we may see. So it was a really good year for us, and I was really proud to be part of it. And special kudos to Bill Farr, who is the go-to guy for me for New England Heritage Tour and has now stepped up and is on the board. I'm in North Carolina, so I'm going to stay for a little while longer. Oh, Carol, we travel together. I'm going to stay for a little while longer, and then I'm going to go play with my grandbaby before he goes to bed. Anybody have questions about tour? Anybody want to come on our next one? No? Ugh.
I think everybody said yes, Kathy. I think everybody said yes.
You will, Bill. You have to. You can't not come. I think Carol should come back and do it again with us.
All right, thanks, Kathy. Nick, why don't you take us through outdoor education?
Sure. Hi everyone. My name's Nick Wheeler. I'm the Outdoor Education Director. Yeah, as with American Heritage, I think outdoor education program was very successful for 2019. We served in 2019, we served 29 groups total. serving 2,110 people in 13 weeks. So that's a lot of people that came through the doors for outdoor education at Dakota. So I'm just going to break that down really, just to give you an emphasis on who we serve for outdoor education. So we serve 15 schools, which included 3 new schools for 2019, 4 nonprofits, 4 weddings, 2 corporations, 2 churches, 1 small business, and then we have our specialized retreat, which is the Women's Weekend. So like I said, we had 29 groups in total, but the best thing about the outdoor education program that, for example, corporations and weddings help support the low-income schools. We have 2 low-income schools that come to us, which are Fuller School and Neshoba Brooks. And I'm just going to read a testimony. And excuse me whilst I read this, my eyesight's not the greatest, so I kind of have to squint my eyes a bit. So this is from Joanna Crease, who's from the Fuller School, a school teacher at Fuller School. And she sent this to me the other day. She says, taking our 5th graders to Camp Dakota has always been the highlight of the year at Fuller School. It's a time to watch my students and challenge them to do things that they've never done before. In particular, we had a kiddo from our autism program join us at camp last year, and he overcame his fear of heights by challenging himself going on the giant swing. The smile on his face as he let out a huge, exciting laugh was one of the greatest moments I could witness. The way his classmates cheered him on and he celebrated the success will forever hold a spot in my heart. It excites me to know that a child we have in school being shy and reserved can now become a leader of a group during the team building activities. Camp Dakota allows our kiddos to be themselves and to feel safe and to challenge themselves and know they are being supported by their classmates. I love the support that the 5th graders give each other as they climb up the high tower and also jump in the water. The way they cheer each other and brought the entire group together. Camp Dakota has helped us to build our school community with our 5th graders, and I cannot express how beneficial it's been. Each child has taken some memories that will stay with them forever. And the 3 things that I kind of get out from the program in 2019 that I get when I get various emails and I get evaluations that I kind of take away. And the 3 things I always get is from the Dakota programs that students always challenge themselves, they celebrate success, and they build a community. And Camp Dakota helps build that for them. Thank you. Any questions?
Thanks, Nick.
All right.
Before we jump to Ryan and Carly, Ryan posted the link to our annual report that's on our website in the chat, and we will be mailing some out very shortly if you want to take a look at that later. But right now, if you could give all of your attention to Ryan and Carly, that'd be great.
Well, good evening, everyone. It is nice to be in such good company to talk about all of the wonderful things that happened through camp last year. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the health of summer camp, and then I'll shift over to Carly to really get to the heart of what we do and tell a little bit about how Dakota makes a difference in the lives of our campers. All right. So what I wanted to do was give you a little bit of a snapshot of what our year looked like. Last year, we had a total enrollment of 1,556 campers, which was 89 campers higher than the summer before. And that now marks 10 consecutive years of enrollment growth at summer camp. Our retention rate from 2018 to 2019 was 77%, which is really good. The national average at summer camps for retention rates are always right around 50%. So you can see we are well above that. Our early registration, these are campers who register for camp before they even leave their session. 81% of those campers did so with their parents. The summer before in 2018, we had 80% of our campers pre-register, so a modest improvement there. We always asked our campers and their parents to rate us on a scale of 1 to 10, to give us a temperature of our overall program. And last year, that overall rating was 95%, which was the same as the summer before. So pretty consistent there. We also asked them if they would recommend camp to a friend. As you might know, our greatest enrollment comes from word of mouth marketing and friend referrals. So it's really important to us that our campers and their families feel really great about the experience and would feel comfortable recommending us to a friend. And in 2019, as in 2018, all of the campers and their families who were surveyed replied that they would recommend us to a friend. In terms of mission outcomes, we ask our campers and their parents a series of questions about the impact of camp. And these are things like, did camp help you grow in confidence and in character? Did it help you explore your values? Did it help you make new friends? Did it help you feel comfortable trying new things? And they're really the reason why we exist. And 97% of our camp families said that their child did grow in those areas while at camp. So that's something to make us all feel good about. And while we focus on the mission of camp, we can't ignore the financial sustainability of it. So in 2019, based on exceeding our enrollment targets, we surplused about an additional $50,000, which is really important because that goes directly back into our program and our facilities and into providing camperships to folks who would not be able to attend camp otherwise. And so that's really important. At this point, I would like to turn it over to Carly to share a little bit more.
Hi everyone, my name is Carly Fisher. I have a very unhappy camper here with me, but we're gonna do our best to try to get through this without interruptions. But I'm the assistant director of summer camp, for those of you who I have not met yet. And I wanted to share a story about an interaction that I had with a camper this summer that I thought really just spoke a lot to what it is that we do. This camper was here on a scholarship that he had gotten through Teen Housing, and he was fabulous. He was just bright, he was friendly, he was easy. He's the kind of kid you want in your cabin when you're a staff member or a camper. But about halfway through the second week of the session that he was here, he was feeling pretty homesick and he was not happy that day. And so he wanted a meeting with me. He wanted to go straight to the top. And so we sat down with this division head to sort of talk about what was going on. And I said, tell me more. Why are you having a hard time, or what are you missing? He said, well, I really like it here. Everybody's nice, but I really miss my phone. I miss video games. I miss being able to sleep as late as I want. And I'm sick of it. I'm ready to be home now in my own bed. And I said, I totally get that. And I think that that's very normal for all of us who do miss those creature comforts when we're away. But we managed to convince him to stick it out and stay through the end of the session, because we talked to him about how candlelight is beautiful and it's one of the best nights of the year, and it's absolutely not something that you want to miss out, of course. And so I managed to get him to stay. Excuse me one second. I'll be right back. Give me 2 seconds, okay? Ryan, do you want to take over for 1 minute? I'm sorry.
Sure. I don't know where Carly was going with the story. I don't know the story. But in general, I can tell you that it was such an honor and so meaningful to be able to work with the Keene Housing Kids Collaborative last summer. As Carly said, there were 13 campers who their families probably never imagined that camp was something available to them. We met with them before camp to get them ready. As Artie said, we outfitted them with absolutely everything they needed for a successful summer camp experience. Everything from their trunk to their sleeping bag to socks to tennis shoes, everything. And I think the greatest part of that is when they got to camp, everybody felt like they completely fit in. Sometimes, and that was a big part of packing those trunks for them. The whole Fill the Duffel campaign was making sure that they came to camp and that they felt like they completely fit in with all of their peers. They did. Every one of them had a wonderful time. I'm hopeful that many of them will be able to come back in the future. And it just turned into a really incredible partnership in a way that we could make a difference to families who really needed it the most, and to engage our community in supporting that effort. So I know we're incredibly grateful. It looks like Carly is back, so she might have, yeah, there was some suspense there. So
I think we can do this. We're gonna try. Nope. I'll tell you what, I'm gonna type it in the chat though, because it's too good to miss, okay?
Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Carly. Good luck. So that's really 2019 in a nutshell. We did a lot of good on the part of a lot of people. You know, the volunteer numbers, both those who come for a week during camp and Heritage Travel and board members, is just really tremendous, and everybody should be very proud of the work we do, and I'm so grateful. Well, let's touch a little bit on 2020. I'm sure there's a lot of questions and a lot of folks who are curious, including myself and all of our staff as we move through 2020 about what'll be happening next. As you know, we ended up canceling all of our programming. It took us a while. We waited as long as we possibly could, but ultimately, the staff and the board, we all agreed that there was just too many unknowns to really do this successfully. So then we started the fun process of attempting to pre-register or re-register folks for 2021 and provide refunds, and talked about what we could do, what we couldn't do, and ultimately, you know, I'm proud to say, because of a lot of hard work on people's parts since the middle of March and today, that we definitely know from a cash forecast perspective, we can get through 2020. And we've done this from coming in with some really, really solid finances and hard work on the part of the finance committee and the staff and the board. And even though we're just now kicking off our official fundraising, to date, just from as soon as we canceled, and all of our friends and family out there who knew we would need help, we've raised $280,000 so far. We've been able to secure some funding from YMCA grants. We've been able to secure some funding from the various CARES Act dollars that came out. As people were canceling and talking about what they wanted to do with money that they've already paid, it's really exciting to see that about 85% of our campers that were enrolled as of the middle of May, they've pre-registered again for 2021, which is exciting, and we're putting a lot of time right now at camp into doing a lot of projects and working on the facility, planning for 2021, working on hiring, working on program improvements. Just recently, we hosted a free community day for the families of Richmond. So they came in and moved around to some activities just as families, and they had a great time. It was really exciting. This morning, I got a call from the director of curriculum at Monadnock School District on whether or not we would be willing to host the kids of their teachers. They're going back in a hybrid fashion. So on the days that their kids aren't in school, working with Monadnock staff, can they use our property and use camp in order to take that burden off of their teachers. So that's hot off the presses. I haven't even returned the phone call of the director of curriculum to go a little bit more in depth, but we're certainly going to move forward with that. And we're really, we're really focused on watching how schools open up, and mid-October, early November, starting to look at how and what and all that in terms of planning to make 2021 as successful as possible. So that's sort of the last 4 or 5 months in a nutshell. I don't know if there's anything I missed for those of you who are on the screen from what we've been working on. If not, I'll hand it over to Mike.
Good evening, everyone. I'll go through a little bit of the financials. In 2019 actually was a very good financial year for us. And in the annual report is the full layout of all the financials. I mean, sort of as a highlight, last year we raised about, from a revenue perspective, a little over $3 million. Again, we year after year continue to increase our revenues, which is incredibly exciting, and had a profit number of a little over $460,000. And that's, as Ryan spoke of, I mean, every little bit helps. And what it does is that money then gets turned back into either improvements in camp from a capital perspective. It's turned into improvements in programs, and it certainly gets turned back into camperships, with the goal being, how do we, again, sort of reach more and more kids and bring more and more kids to camp. But that, in the nutshell, is 2019. Again, a great year. We've had, year after year, a good job by the staff to manage finances and increase the number of kids at camp, which has allowed us to, again, have lots of profits and turn those back into camperships and improvements in camp. The challenge actually ends up being, obviously, in 2020. Been on the board for way too long, but been on the board, Carol Judo, well over 10 years, probably 12 years these days. And I would tell you, we've never seen a scenario of this sort. This is a year where, by all means, we have no programming revenue. We are fortunate that over the past series of years, we've been able to stockpile and, again, create a buffer of cash in various accounts and various investments, which is going to help us get through a lot of this year. At one point, we probably had close to $800,000 in cash. When we finish this year, 2020, we're going to deplete just about all of our reserve. But that's why you build a reserve, to cover sort of hard times and uncertainty. The staff and team have done a fabulous job in knowing that when we shut down camp and all of our programming, it's now doing the ugly and difficult work of serious financial management. We've reduced expenses at this point, probably close to 50% than what we expected. We've done this in a way that, and the intention is, at this point, don't cut people and programs so that we hurt ourselves moving forward. Clearly, you could have laid off a lot of folks, and that would have been a horrible state for the organization and also for the future. And that's not what we want to do. We want to build a sustainable organization. The way you do that is you got to retain your great talent and do what you can on the other fronts to basically make things meet. Artie and crew have done a great job securing federal funds and grants, and wherever we can, we've been chasing down, the various care programs. The next stage we're into, once we've now sorted the camperships as campers from 2019, which I already spoke of earlier, those that have stayed on, those that have chose to donate some of their 2019 money. We now have a good picture. From that, we are in the process now of raising money. It's now the fundraising stage. And normally we raise about $250,000 or so a year from a fundraising perspective. This year we need closer to 500 in order to make it all work well, so we have enough money going into 2020 so that we hit the ground and have enough cash and be sustainable. As already said, at this point we've raised close to 280. So we have still a goal. By the end of the year, we still need to raise call it close to $250,000. And if we can raise that, then we'll hit the ground running in 2020 with cash in the bank to sustain us through the first quarter, and well positioned with a year of building programs, really investing in the camp, a year of basically nurturing the staff. So that's the challenge as we move forward. It's really that. Our goal, certainly as the board and certainly the finance committee, has been, we don't want to touch the endowment. The endowment is for the years in the future. It's not for this year. Let's make everything work that we can today without touching the endowment. And that's the essence of it. Are there, I guess, any questions?
Thanks, Mike. I'll pass it back to Rob.
Yes. Thank you, Mike, Artie, everyone. You know, it's we're in a sobering time, and it's created a unique dynamic for all of us on a personal level, as well as the Dakota YMCA. So it's great to see support. It's great to see people still dedicated to the cause. So one thing that happened just prior to non-board members joining us was we did board nominations. Real quickly, Graham Noseworthy was re-upped for another 3-year term on the board of directors. The slate of officers that were voted into place was myself as president, Graham Noseworthy as vice president, Mike Reed as treasurer, and Marissa Desmond as the secretary of the Dakota YMCA for the next year. Is there any further or other business that we need to take up, or any questions that anybody has? Well, this might be a very quick and timely meeting. God willing, we'll meet again next year, hopefully face to face for most of us, and hopefully with a camp full of kids and the developmental travel and outdoor education programs back on track, and a relative calm in the world. So until we meet again, be safe, healthy, and keep Dakota ever in your mind and in your hearts. Have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.